Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. That's Joe Smith, and this is the big one, the Carabao Cup semi-final, second leg at Old Trafford. Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest. 3-0 up from the first leg. I mean, we've made it, haven't we? Let's face facts. We're there. We're at Wembley.
Surely.
Come on.
I can't fully say it. You're like,
what is wrong with
already.
you? What?
But is there not part of you that thinks, let's say we start a weakened team, which we'll get to our teams in a bit, and I think we may have both predicted it. Is there not part of you that thinks that they could be 2-0 up after 20 minutes? And from there, anything could happen.
Erik ten Hag doesn't lose games by 3 goals.
Right, well.
That's a fact. Name me one game he's ever lost for United by more than 2 goals.
I certainly can't think of any.
Exactly. It doesn't happen.
Not in this city.
So, I have no worries. I have complete faith that Erik ten Hag can get us through this with a 3-0 goal start.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do
seriously.
too. That
is my confidence.
Yeah.
I just don't see him losing by 3 goals at home and then penalties or whatever, or 4-0. It ain't happening.
Is that why we're going to see some debutants, Jay?
We are going to see. What is a debutant? Like in the grander scheme of things, not just in a football term.
Someone doing something for the first time.
All right, I just think, like in America where they go, oh, here's a debutant. It was like a pageant or something. Anyway, I digress. We're going to get into Predicts 11 in a minute.
Yeah.
What I want to ask you is, do you see him mixing up a lot, a little bit, a smidgen? How sort of much of a rotation do you think old Erik ten Hag's going to do?
I think the Reading game shows that it's not going to be complete and utter destruction. I think we might see a couple of remnants of the first team in there, because not to knock anyone who may be getting a debut of this or that, but we haven't got 22 world-class players. And, Forest, like we said last week, I thought we played brilliantly against him, completely nullified what is a sort of emerging team in Nottingham Forest. I think they're 13th in the league at the moment, and having had the start they had, it shows the good form that they've been on. But we ought to see a couple of players, haven't we? Because they're a good team, Forest, but I would hope that United can beat them even with somewhat rotated. Like, maybe we'll see, I don't know, maybe a striker, maybe a winger in there, maybe Kobe Mainoo carrying on playing, maybe even, it's not a debut obviously, but Jadon Sancho coming back. I thought he might come back for the Reading game, but he didn't. We will get into the Predicts 11 in a minute, so we'll go through that exactly, sort of player by player. Just on Erik ten Hag though, let's talk about him briefly. I mean, after those initial couple of games, I mean, he's almost got everything right, hasn't it? I mean, we've had a couple of blips along the way, Arsenal, City and Villa, but by and large, his tactics, his signings, his general demeanour, the way he carries himself, everything about the guy just seems awesome. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It feels like we're a proper team again now.
Yeah.
Like, you think about watching Man United play, and we keep playing these teams that, obviously Palace aside, we keep playing these teams where we think, this could be difficult, like Forest away. We've not played them there yet. They're, like I said, they're an improving team. Dispatch with them comfortably. Reading, dispatch with them comfortably. Burnley was the perfect example. Coming back from the World Cup, you haven't got all your players back. They are flying at the top of the Championship. They'd been playing league matches the weekend before. Dispatch with them comfortably. It's like United are getting to a point where you can rely on these players, and obviously there are improvements to the squad, and Casemiro's made a massive difference, but you have to give Ten Hag so much credit, and being able to keep that mentality going week in, week out. And I think Casemiro was saying after the game the other day that, we want to win titles. We want to do that. It's not just like, we're here to sort of win a couple of games and that'll be it. We want to win the big trophies. And I think Ten Hag is the main reason for that. Obviously, each player makes a difference, and, we'll go through the teams, like I said, in a minute, but he brought these players in. He brought Casemiro in. He saw that opportunity and did it. Even after chasing De Jong all summer, we all sat here and said, have we wasted time? Have we had our eye on De Jong for too long? He's not going to leave us with time. We've got probably a better player in Casemiro. And I just think that Ten Hag has been so good, and keeping the standards high against Readings and Burnleys and Forests and those teams where you should beat them, but in the past we haven't, is a much more difficult thing to do than you think. It's easier said than done to beat the lesser teams. Ten Hag is getting United to that point, and we're competing with the big teams as well. It's just a massive change in 6 months, and I don't think he can be given enough credit, really, Ten Hag.
I don't as well. And like, you know, we've seen certain sections of the media trying to downplay what he's done and go, well, he's had those signings and still, you know, I mean, they're not in the title race or whatever. We have to be realistic about what we expected from this season. And I think the best we could have hoped for this season is some silverware and top 4. And he's bang on course to do both of those things.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we're looking good in the league in terms of our position, and we're in all 3 trophy competitions we can be in.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? The guy's doing exactly what we hoped he'd do.
Yeah.
And I said to you before the season started, there's a chance we could finish 6th and it not be a disaster, because other teams above us or around us have strengthened and have got managers who've been there longer and have got, do you know what I mean, resources as well. And yet we've left behind the likes of Chelsea and to a lesser degree Spurs and kicked on there. And you know, like you say, everything that Ten Hag has done for me has been mightily impressive. Let's talk about our predicted 11s then. We'll start with yours because we were talking earlier about whether he was going to mix it up, whether he was going to go with the Rezzies. You've predicted that it'll go for a mixture of youth and experience, but mainly experience.
Yeah, I've gone with a decent amount of experience there, but it's interesting because you call it experience, but we'll go through it. A lot of these experienced players have got a point to prove, or may well be on the way out. Obviously, Butland is experienced in one sense, but this would be his debut, signing as on loan. Then I've gone again. We don't have many options at right back. Even I don't think we've really got any rumoured. Sort of academy options at the minute that might come and play there. So I think it has to be Wan-Bissaka. Dalot's injured. Maguire and Lindelof, they've won enough games together in the past. I think that works, and they're both at this point rotation pieces. Luke Shaw at left back, again, he's one of those players that I think the manager likes to play when he's fit. And then that's where I've seen a bit more youth come in here. Mainu, McTominay and Fernandes. Again, Fernandes is just someone that when he's fit, he plays pretty much every single game, 60, 70 games a season for club and country. He does it, and I expect him to start again in this game if he's fit. And then Pellistri, I think that would be his full debut, wouldn't it, as well, if he started, because he's come on as sub twice for United now.
I think so.
I don't think he started a game for us.
Right.
So that's another full debut there. Weghorst up front again, he's our only striker. And I brought Sancho back in as well because he's got to play at some point. I mean, this is a 3-0 head start against Nottingham Forest at home is surely the right sort of basis for you to rejuvenate your career. If he's ever going to come back in this season, there's no easier game than this. And it could turn out to be a disaster. Obviously, if we were to lose it, it would be a real horrific time to come back. But if you're giving yourself the best option to succeed, 3-0 up at half-time, essentially, against Forest, coming on. Do
you know what I've been thinking about on this, though, Joe? I agree with you to a certain degree. The issue is, right, if you took, so let's say, and we don't know for certain, but it certainly appears that there's some sort of psychological or mental problem that he's been suffering from, mental issue, right, which is fine. If you're not ready, it doesn't matter who the opposition are.
That's true.
If you've got a torn hamstring, doesn't matter that you're playing Forest with a 3-0 head start, you're still not fit to play against them.
Yeah.
So if he's mentally not ready, then the fact we've got a 3-0 head start against a team that's 13th in the Premier League, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not having to dig at you. My point is, he's not ready.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it can be Reading, it can be Middlesbrough, it can be Liverpool away. We just, when he's ready, he's ready. So I don't know, but maybe that's the reason we've not seen him yet.
If that is the situation, then of course, there is no right game.
I know you're not saying just throw him in. You're just pointing out that this would seem ideal on paper, but if the manager spoke to him and he thinks, do you know what, you're not quite there yet, then I respect that.
It's the same. And if he's not ready, it could be the Toys R Us, five-a-side team. You're not ready to play. You're not ready to play.
Do you know what I mean?
The fact that he's back in first-team training suggests
it would appear that he's on his way.
Yeah,
and I hope so. And to be fair, I think when we get to my team in a minute, actually, which is similar-ish to your team, I think I've got Jadon Sancho starting. So I hope he is ready. But if he isn't, I'm not going to lose my mind on it because, as we said earlier, we trust Ten Hag. And also, if we're going to talk about people who've got psychological or which we think it is, or a mental issue, you treat the same as you would a physical one. If they're not ready, or it's something they're suffering from. If Jadon Sancho had broken his metatarsal, we wouldn't be telling to him, well, you should be playing.
Yeah.
So that should be the same if there's something not quite right. And I just trust Ten Hag. I trust him to do the right decision. And if it's for the long-term benefit of getting Jadon Sancho where he needs to be, then so be it. But I agree with you. If he is at the point now where you think he's ready, there's no reason whatsoever he shouldn't play against Nottingham Forest with a 3-0 start. The back four, I've gone slightly different. I've gone with Malacia in for sure. I don't know what's happening fitness-wise with Shaw. I just feel like he might want to be a little bit cautious with him and just give him a bit of a breather. I've gone with Manu as well. We've both gone with Manu, haven't we? The indications are that he likes him.
He seems to be
Zidane sort of. I had Zidane in the last one, and then our video went out, I think, on the Friday evening, and Zidane played for under 23, so I knew I was wrong in picking him. But it does feel like Manu's leapfrog. Obviously, Savage has gone out on loan, but he's leapfrog over Zidane. Bruno Fernandes, enough said. Garnacho, very close, and Sancho, which is still a very strong front three.
Yeah, the whole team's very strong. Yeah. When you look at that, Manu's really the only one where you would say he's not going to get picked if it's a big game.
Yeah.
You could feasibly see all the rest of those picked. Obviously, Sancho, when he's back on form and back fit, Garnacho has started games like that in the past. So that's a very strong team there to say, except Wan-Bissaka, Bruno and Weghorst, all of those are backup options in terms of the outfield players. It's quite impressive, really.
I know, a lot of those players, I think 5 of those players finished second in the league not that long ago.
Yep.
So it's still quality there. Talking of Forest, we'll talk about them quickly before we give our score predictions. I mean, you can see the results there.
Yeah.
So the big one that stands out is obviously the 3-0 loss to Manchester United. In the first leg. That's the one that counts. That's the one that still has repercussions for this game. They have got some decent players. We know that we were getting sort of the run around with the kid. Was it Johnson up front who was causing us all sorts of problems?
Like a good player. First half.
Yeah, in the first half. So we have to sort of not be totally dismissive of them. I'm known quite bullish, but I think that 3-0 at Old Trafford with that start, we should be winning. But, they did give us a few warnings, didn't they?
Yeah, and they did look decent, I thought. I think keeping it at 3-0 was massive. And then actually in the second half, United came out and just took that sting out of the game. I couldn't even tell you really how they did it.
Yeah.
But I just thought first half they looked like they had a little bit about them, Forest. But I just, like you said, we've just got to win. There's no two ways.
If there's a part of Steve Cooper that's thinking this is done, I don't need to play my full strength because he's got important league games coming up. He might go, I'll mix it up a bit. But as long as I don't send a team out, it's going to get battered. But this game's done, so I might give some of the lads a bit of a breather. I don't know. We'll find out, and obviously get involved in the chat in the comments and let us know what you think. Joe, before we wrap up, give us your score prediction, please, my friend.
I'm going to go 1-0 United. I think we'll get an early goal.
Yeah.
Or, first half goal, basically kill Forest in terms of their chances of winning the game. And I think hopefully United can have a bit of a run out for the young lads and almost like a sort of working rest.
Yeah.
So basically playing at 60% for the rest of the game. Forest know they can't win. United know they can't lose. Bit of a rest for the players. Perfect all round. 1-0.
I could see this being a draw, I'm going to go with Desmond. I'll go with 2-2. Yeah. And I think Erik Ten Hag will be quite annoyed at that. He said he wants to turn Old Trafford into a fortress. Oof. And he's been doing a very good job at that if you look at our home form. But I think he might mix it up a bit and we might have that little psychological thing, thinking, we're 3-0 up, we're already through. So it might end up with a draw. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Don't forget as well to send us your score prediction. Film yourself like that in landscape. Send it us a 30-second video to paddockmatchday@gmail.com. Joe, where can people find you?
Joe Smith 93 on Instagram and Twitter and on the Sloppy Joes podcast.
One of my favourite, if not the favourite podcast out there in the internet. You know where to find me as well. I'm also part of Scotty and Motti. And I'm always on this channel, so make sure you are subscribed to this channel. If you like Joe, if you like me, if you like anyone, subscribe to this channel. That's been Joe. I've been Jay. This has been the Nottingham Forest Carabao Cup semi-final second leg preview. Thanks for watching.